A Royal Air Force uniform jacket. Blue-gray wool, brass buttons, wings stitched above the breast pocket, standard issue. Regulation. Unmistakable. Now watch. A blade slips into the inner seam. Fingers loosen the stitching thread by thread. The jacket is turned inside out. The wool, untouched by sun or rain for years, is darker on the reverse side, almost black. The brass buttons are removed. Carved wooden buttons, hand-whittled mismatched, are sewn in their place. The lapels are recut. The shoulders narrowed. The pockets repositioned. 20 minutes of work. What lies on the table now is no longer a uniform. It is a civilian jacket. Threadbare. Unremarkable. The kind a railway worker might wear, or a traveling salesman, or a man trying to cross a border without being remembered. The man holding the scissors sets them down. His name is Albert Nixon. His friends call him Nick. And in March of 1944, in a prisoner of war camp 100 miles southeast of Berlin, he has just been asked to do this 49 more times. Not eventually. Not when supplies arrive. Now. Because in 6 days, 76 men are going to crawl through a tunnel under the wire, emerge in a frozen pine forest, and attempt to walk undetected through the heart of Nazi Germany. And if the clothes Nixon makes are not convincing, they will not be recaptured. They will be shot on sight. This is not a story about tunneling. By March of 1944, tunneling is routine. Stalag Luft III near Sagan in Lower Silesia holds over 10,000 Allied airmen, mostly RAF. Some American, Canadian, Australian, all officers, all shot down over occupied Europe. The camp is purpose-built to prevent escape. The soil is sandy, easy to detect if disturbed. The barracks are raised on stilts so guards can see beneath them. Seismograph microphones are buried around the perimeter. Searchlights sweep the wire every 20 seconds. And yet, 3 tunnels are under construction. Tom, Dick, Harry. They have been dug for over a year. 30 feet down, more than 300 feet long, shored with bed slats, ventilated by hand-pumped air lines, lit by lamps made from boot polish and margarine. The digging is extraordinary, but digging is not the problem. The problem is what happens after, because even if a man gets outside the wire, he is still 400 miles from Switzerland, 500 from Sweden, 600 from Spain. He is in the center of a totalitarian state at full war footing. Every railway station is patrolled. Every road has checkpoints. Every village has someone who knows every face. And every escaped prisoner is wearing a uniform. British battle dress is wool serge stamped and cut to regulation. The trousers carry a red stripe down the side, intentionally visible under the Geneva Convention. To walk out of a forest wearing it is to be identified immediately. Not as a soldier, as an escapee. And in 1944, escapees are no longer simply returned to camp. They disappear, so the real problem is not getting out, it is looking like you belong. Roger Bushell understands this. Squadron leader, RAF, shot down over Dunkirk, captured in 1940. Fluent in German, lawyer by training, relentless by temperament. He is Big X, the head of the escape committee. Bushell's plan is not to send out a few men with a chance, it is to send out 200. A mass breakout designed not for individual success, but to force the Reich to divert manpower away from the front and into recapture. That requires something unprecedented. Every man needs civilian clothing, forged papers, a compass, a map, money, a cover story. And they need all of it inside a camp where nothing officially exists but wood wire and wool. Departments are assigned. Maps are traced from smuggled atlases. Documents forged with ink made from crushed pencil lead. Stamps carved from boot heels. Compasses molded from melted phonograph records. And clothing. That responsibility falls to Nick Nixon. From the beginning, Nixon understands something important. He is unlikely to be allowed to escape. Not because he lacks courage, but because he is too useful. Albert Nixon is Australian, not British, enlisted in 1940. Assigned to an RAF squadron as ground crew, captured in North Africa in 1942 when his airfield is overrun. Before the war, he was a tailor in Melbourne, not a soldier by trade, a craftsman. He understands how fabric behaves, how wool absorbs dye, how a jacket meant for a pilot's posture hangs wrong on a civilian body, how clothing tells a story, and how the wrong story gets you killed. Bushel asks for 50 complete civilian outfits: jackets, trousers, shirts, coats, caps. Some must look like laborers, others like clerks, a few like traveling businessmen. All must pass inspection at a railway checkpoint under direct light. Nixon is given no fabric, no thread, no buttons, no dye, no patterns, no privacy. He is given discarded uniforms blankets long hours after lights out and the certainty that discovery ends everything. He begins by asking, quietly, "Can you spare a shirt? Do you need both trousers? Would you part with your greatcoat?" Some men give freely. They are not escaping, but they want to help. Some barter, some refuse. A uniform is protection under the Geneva Convention. Without it, you are just a man. Nixon does not argue. He takes what he can get. It is never enough, so he learns to multiply fabric. A greatcoat becomes a jacket, and trousers if the lining is sacrificed. A blanket felted and dyed becomes an overcoat. A shirt turned inside out loses its military creases. The details matter. Brass buttons are unmistakable. Civilian buttons are wood or horn. A whittling team forms. Buttons are carved from bed slats, crates, broken game pieces. Irregular, mismatched, perfect. Thread is scavenged by unraveling socks, hems, blankets. Fibers twisted by hand. Tension matched so seams will not fail. Then there is dye. There is none. So they make it. Book covers soaked and boiled. Charcoal ground and mixed. Beetroot reduced and fixed with rust and vinegar. Most attempts fail. One turns maroon. One rubs off on the hands. One looks right under lamplight and wrong in daylight. It takes 11 tries to get one jacket right. By February, Nixon is no longer alone. A small team forms. A Savile Row tailor corrects sloppy stitching. A forger ages fabric with dirt and wear. Others shape caps, braid belts, improvise fasteners. But Nixon does something essential. He fits the clothes to the men. A tall navigator cannot wear a short jacket. A compact pilot cannot wear loose trousers. He measures with knotted string, adjusts posture, matches clothing to cover stories, because Gestapo officers do not just look, they assess. In early March, the disguises are tested. A man walks the compound. Guards watch. They do not react. Another approaches the gate wearing a fake Luftwaffe uniform. The guard hesitates, almost salutes, then stops. The disguise worked for 3 seconds. That is enough. The tunnel Harry is ready. 336 feet long. Exit in the forest beyond the wire. 200 men are supposed to go. One every 2 minutes. Nixon is not on the list. He stays. At 10:30 p.m., the first man enters the tunnel wearing a suit Nixon made from a dyed RAF greatcoat. Wooden buttons, frayed collar, a coffee stain added deliberately. He looks like a salesman. He crawls into the dark. By 4 a.m., 76 men are out. Then, the tunnel is discovered. Shots are fired. The exit collapses. Inside the camp, the remaining men burn their disguises in the stoves. Nixon helps. Hours of work curl and blacken in flame. Better destroyed than examined. What happens next does not unfold all at once. Within 2 days, 73 escapees are recaptured. 3 reach freedom. The rest are taken by the Gestapo. 50 are executed on Hitler's personal order. Not in combat, not while resisting. They are shot in quiet places, from behind. Their ashes are returned in urns. The camp is told they were shot while resisting arrest. It is a lie. Nixon reads the names. Men measured. Men who passed checkpoints. Men who traveled hundreds of miles wearing his work into the heart of the Reich. Bushel, Kattenack, Wallen. Some made it 300 miles. Then someone looked twice. After the executions, the camp changes. Not in layout, not in structure, in tone. Roll calls become longer. Silence stretches. Guards stop shouting and start watching. Barracks are searched again and again, not for tunnels this time, but for tools, needles, scissors, thread. The Germans are no longer afraid of holes in the ground. They are afraid of what cannot be mapped. The Gestapo arrives with clipboards and questions. They interview men who never left the camp. How did they dress? Who worked on the clothes? Who had skills? No one answers fully. Not because they are brave, but because they do not know. Nixon worked quietly, through intermediaries, through compartments. Finished garments never stayed in one place. The system protected him. Not by design, by necessity. Recovered disguises, those not burned or lost, are examined. German tailors study them. They note the details, not crude mistakes, intentional ones. A seam repaired badly, a button slightly off-center, a stain that suggests poverty, not carelessness. These are not errors, they are signals. The clothes are too real, and that is the problem. Nixon is never accused, never interrogated, but he watches the urns arrive, one by one. Ashes of men he fitted. Men whose posture he corrected so they would not draw attention. He does not speak much after that, not in camp, not after the war. Nixon returns to Australia in 1945. He resumes tailoring. Same tools, same motions, but the stakes are different now. A bad seam means discomfort, not death. He never writes a memoir, never lectures. The war passes into history. The Great Escape becomes a film. Dramatic, loud, clean. The clothes are perfect. Too perfect. Nothing like what Nixon made, because Nixon's work was not about looking good. It was about being believed. Albert Nick Nixon dies in 1983. He leaves no monument, but for a few nights in 1944, in the center of Nazi Germany, men walk past guards without being stopped. Because a tailor understood something fundamental. People see what they expect to see. And a man dressed correctly is invisible. A jacket turned inside out, buttons replaced, seams recut, no longer a uniform, something else, something that might for just a moment let a man disappear. And in war, a moment is sometimes all you get.